Good morning guys, Joe in Thailand here. This is the first video on the YouTube channel. As you can see, I live out in rural Thailand. There are not many foreigners around here. The nearest foreigner I know actually lives just over there. But then after that, maybe 10-15 minutes drive to the next one. So you're probably wondering, how did I end up living in the Thai countryside? So we are gonna drive back on trusty Squeaky back to the house, and I'll explain a little bit more because it is absolutely boiling today. This is Squeaky, by the way. Squeaky is what I call the village bike, which also has a completely different meaning, I know. This bike has been in my wife's family for maybe around 500 years, looking at the condition. Bit of skin damage from the sun, but this thing just keeps on going and going and going, and you can probably guess why it's called Squeaky. So we're going to take the bike back to the house and I'll explain a little bit more about how I ended up living in rural Thailand. And I did just notice where I was recording there is a massive blade. What on earth? Let's take a look at that. So I am surrounded by rice fields, so I imagine that this is for cutting rice, and it belongs to my mother-in-law because I'm actually in one of her fields right now, and this is what they use to cut the rice. So let's stick that back up there so nobody hurts themselves, and let's head back to the house and get out of the sun. As you can see, very quiet where I live. And as you can hear, that's why she's called Squeaky. Okay, we're just going through the start of the village. On the right hand side we've got the football field, and either side of the road there are some local noodle ladies, as I call them. And then I should probably stop recording because the police are right up here. Alright, our office for the new business is just here. Okay, we just got back to our new office for the business here, which is right here. The front has been done. They still need to do a bit of work taking out these shutters and just making it look a little bit nicer from the outside. But let's go inside to the office where the AC is nice and cool. Alright, slight change of plan. I went back to the house first to get some water because it is ridiculously hot, which you can probably see the sweat on my head. It's been 40 degrees for the last 3 weeks. So yeah, too hot, need water. Let's go inside the office and get that AC on. So some of you have probably seen snippets of my life on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. But the idea behind this YouTube channel is to try and give a bit of a better insight into what life is like living in rural Thailand and trying to run a business in Thailand as well. I do have a business which we recently set up with my wife, who is Thai, and where I am now, this office, all the land and warehouse that you just saw in the back of the video is all part of her family's businesses. Her brother's got a construction business, her mum's got a few bits as well, and the field we were down at is where they're planning to build a resort, which I'm going to try and document through these YouTube videos as well. So what about me though? So let me sit down and then I'll explain a bit about me. I'm trying to balance the GoPro on top of this bottle. So hot. I had to turn the AC back off again because it's making a shh noise in the background. So how did I end up living in rural Thailand? So I'm 30 years old. I was born in the UK, of course, as you can tell by the accent. Born in Lancaster, And then we moved to Oxford, Southampton. Then I studied in London, came back to Southampton. From a young age, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself. I knew I was good at maths, good with numbers, good at analysing things. So when I went to university, I studied accounting and finance. And then after that, again, didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself. There was a large corporate company near where we lived in Southampton, and they had one job available, which I applied for coming out of university. Didn't really expect to get it. And after a few weeks after the interview, I didn't hear anything back, and I contacted them, and then within a couple of minutes they came back and said, hey, sorry for taking so long. We want to offer you the job. So my entire plans of relaxing and going traveling after university kind of came to an end. And I started working for this company straight out of university, I think a week or two later. And the money I was earning at the time was good. I was earning 25k, which for somebody straight out of university, not living in London, was enough money. And I was really, really motivated by climbing that corporate ladder at this stage. And that really kept me going for a couple of years until I was asked to move to another area of the business and become a manager. So by this point, I was maybe 25. I'd negotiated a couple of pay rises. I was earning closer to 50k, which it's not mega money, but when you're 25, it's good. Like, it was enough for me to sell my first condo and buy another one, which was much bigger, much nicer. And yeah, life was good at that point. I had a lot of savings. I was investing a lot. I had a property already, but the motivation started to dwindle. I started to go into the office every day thinking there must be more to life than sitting at a desk on this computer for the rest of my life. There must be more to it. And it was just stuck in my head all the time. And then the business started to go through a lot of changes, redundancies, trying to streamline. With this, the culture started to change slowly. A lot of people were leaving. My management style was very relaxed. If people wanted to work at home, I would allow them to work at home. I didn't like the idea of people having to ask to go to the doctor, ask to go to their kid's sports day. What sort of life are we living where we have to ask to go to a special event for our kid? So my management style was always, just do it, just go. You don't even need to tell me. Just make sure your work is done and there's no problem. Like, that's how it should be, right? But the business was going a completely different direction. And then my friends decided to go on holiday to Thailand, and I booked on 3 weeks. It was approved. A couple of weeks later, my manager left, new manager came in, and this was really the start of the end for me. And he came in and basically said, Joe, I can't approve 3 weeks. It's too long. I'm new to the business, I need you here. I said, it's not really my problem. It's been approved. I pay for the flights, the hotels, etc. Long story short, I went on holiday for 3 weeks. I remember the exact moment being on Kata Beach in Phuket. I had a beer in one hand and I was paddling with the other hand in the sun. And I thought to myself, I need to get out the UK. Of course, when you move here and you've lived here for years, holiday mode and actually living completely different, but that became my motivation. So when I got home, my cousin at the same time messaged me saying, hey, I'm quitting my job, I'm going traveling, I'm probably going to go in about 6 months. And that was stuck in my head for the whole time. Until one day I woke up on a Saturday, raging hangover, and I just said to myself, you know what, fuck it. Monday morning, I'm quitting. So Monday morning came around, handed my notice in. Everyone was shocked that I was going to leave, but my decision was made, and that was in the December of that year. And I had to work a 3-month notice period. And the 3-month notice period perfectly coincided with the UK lockdown rules coming in. So I ended up actually moving back into my mum's house. I'd already rented my condo out to make a little bit of an income, and it still does today. And I basically just spent 3 or 4 months just sitting in the sun. You remember that period during COVID, we had perfect weather. And I just enjoyed it. I worked out in the morning, did a little bit of trading, investing in stocks. And then after 3 or 4 months, I just thought to myself, all right, come on, we need to try and make something happen here. Most of the world was still in lockdown, but there was a couple of countries that would allow you to fly there. So me and my cousin were like, you know what, let's just wing it. We're gonna go for it. Let's travel the world in the middle of a global pandemic. So we ended up in Italy for 3 weeks, and we were sat in a restaurant, and the lady said, you know, we're going into lockdown tomorrow, right? And we were like, what? We've not seen anything. We booked a flight to France, As we were booking the flight to France, they also announced back into lockdown. So then we went to Germany and we caught a connecting flight all the way to Mexico, which if you were in Mexico during COVID, you just know that was the place to be. It was absolutely unbelievable. You step off the plane and you basically just went back into normal life. There were certain areas which had no restrictions, and we planned to stay there for a month or two. We ended up staying there for 6 months. It was so good. We saw that Thailand had 10 days quarantine to get in, and we decided, let's just go for it. That 10 days, by the way, was absolute hell. There was one morning I woke up, I got a shower, got dressed, put my shoes on just to feel like I was going somewhere. And then I just sat at my desk doing a bit of work. We were out into Thailand. A couple of days after getting out of quarantine, I met Mina, who is now my wife. And where I am right now recording this is where she is from, where she grew up, where all of her family are from. That's how we ended up living in rural Thailand and how I ended up in Thailand myself. All right, that's enough waffling shit in the office. I think we should go back and get some food because I've not eaten today. So the purpose of this channel, I want to show life in Thailand in more detail. Some of you have come from TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc. And on those platforms, I can only show really small snippets of what life is like here. And it's very in your face, like, no, I'm doing this. Recording on here and posting on YouTube is a little bit more relaxed. It's not so fast paced. I can actually just talk normally and show what's going on around me. So that's the purpose for this channel. If there are any content ideas, requests, things that would help you in moving here, let me know in the comments below. As I say that, the battery on the GoPro has just hit 0%, so we're gonna finish there for today. I am gonna try and do 1 or 2 videos per week to show my life in Thailand.